Imagine being 17 years old, strapped to an airplane seat, plummeting 10,000 feet through a dark, stormy sky, with metal debris raining down around you. This is Julianne Koepke. Unlike most teenagers, she spent 3 years living deep in the Amazon at Panguana, a biological research station established by her zoologist parents. On Christmas Eve 1971, Julianne and her mother were rushing home to celebrate the holiday. To make it in time, they boarded LANSA Flight 508, despite her father's warnings about the airline's terrible safety record. 20 minutes into the flight, at 21,000 feet, lightning struck the right wing. The plane broke apart midair. Julianne, still buckled into row 19F, was ejected into freefall over the world's densest rainforest. 3 specific physics anomalies kept her alive. Intense storm updrafts pushed against her descent. Her 3-seat row spun rapidly, creating a helicopter-like drag. Finally, the thick jungle canopy and tangled vines acted as a massive decelerating net. The fall didn't kill her, but she woke up completely alone, severely injured, and invisible to the rescue planes circling miles above. The actual fight to stay alive was starting right now. She regained consciousness with a concussion, a broken collarbone, and her right eye swollen shut. Most people would scream for help and exhaust themselves in a panic, but her parents had hammered a strict rule into her. In the jungle, panic kills faster than the environment. She forced herself to stay calm. She found a single bag of candy scattered from the wreckage, containing exactly 30 pieces. Knowing this might be her only food for weeks, she rigidly rationed them. To fight off the severe dehydration, she licked small droplets of rainwater directly off the broad jungle leaves. The Amazon forest floor is incredibly dark. Sunlight barely reaches the soil, meaning very little edible plant life actually grows at ground level. When she did spot mushrooms, her formal botany training kicked in. She recognized the toxicity risks and refused to touch them, avoiding a lethal, starvation-driven mistake. Her initial survival relied entirely on scientific restraint. She was suppressing her raw human instincts and relying on strict observation. To find her way out, she relied on her father's primary navigation rule. If you are lost, find a trickle of water. Follow it to a stream. Follow the stream to a river. Wherever there is a large river, you will find human civilization. Executing this rule meant constant physical punishment. She couldn't walk on clear trails. She had to force her way through incredibly dense brush, slippery rocks, and massive fallen trees just to keep the water in sight. Along the way, she encountered a Goliath bird-eater, a spider large enough to consume small birds. Instead of recoiling blindly, which often leads to snake bites or sprained ankles, she identified it, understood its behavior, and deliberately walked around it. On the 4th day, she found a row of plane seats holding 3 passengers who had died on impact. Paralyzed by the thought that one of them might be her mother, she carefully approached and checked their fingernails. She saw bright nail polish. Her mother never wore nail polish. Following the water gave her a clear physical direction, but it also built a psychological framework. Having a systematic rule to follow kept her moving forward immediately after a horrific discovery. By day 6, she heard the distinct call of a Hodson bird. Her zoology background told her exactly what this meant. This specific bird only nests near large open bodies of water. She broke through a thick barrier of logs and found a river 30 feet wide. Exhausted and out of candy, she made a strategic choice to conserve calories. She jumped in and let the river's current carry her downstream. While floating, a large female alligator moved toward her in an attacking posture. Human instinct demands scrambling to the shoreline, but Julianne knew Amazonian alligators hunt primarily in the shallows near the banks. She stayed right in the deep water, and the predator eventually left her alone. She could navigate the terrain and the animals, but a biological clock was winding down. Flies had landed on the deep cuts on her arm. Maggots were now hatching, burrowing deep into her flesh and threatening a lethal infection. By day 10, her navigation strategy was working perfectly, but she had absolutely no tools to fight a microscopic parasite. On the 11th day, she saw a large boat tied to the riverbank. Above it was a small logging hut. There was no one inside, but she found a crucial piece of modern chemistry, a container of gasoline. Remembering how her father once treated an infected dog, she grabbed a small tube, siphoned the gasoline, and poured it directly into her open wound. The intense sting forced 30 maggots up to the surface of her skin, allowing her to pull them out one by one. Later that evening, 3 local workers emerged from the jungle. Seeing a bruised, pale girl in torn clothing, they froze, thinking she was Yakumama, a mythological river spirit. Then she looked at them and spoke in perfect Spanish. Weeks later, investigators finally reached the crash site and made a chilling discovery. Julian was not the only person to survive the fall. 14 other passengers lived through the impact, but they stayed seated by the wreckage, waiting for a rescue team that couldn't see them through the dense canopy. All 14 died of exposure and injuries. Julian Kopke walked out of the Amazon after 11 days. She survived because her parents gave her a scientific blueprint. Where everyone else saw an enemy to be feared, she saw a system to be understood.